Do come on the air with breaking news now at 11. Skagit County Emergency Management now allowing some people to go back home. But the warning tonight, go at your own risk. There are still towns and neighborhoods that are not safe to return to. Emergency Management says this alert is for people who are not impacted by flooding or those who have safe routes to travel on. Many roads slowly reopening as the floodwaters recede.
If these are areas that are commonly flooded, go home. Like I said, repack that go bag. Make sure that you are prepared and you have somewhere to go again. Know your evacuation routes. If you just did evacuate, understand where you might need to go again because you might need to have another notice sent out early next week.
So if you do decide to go home, keep this advice in mind. Follow those road closure signs. Do not drive through any water on the roadways and don't swim in the floodwater. Now, as we've seen throughout the region, what's left behind from this historic flooding, it's been a little hard to stomach. Tonight, some relief, though. Governor Bob Ferguson announcing emergency federal funds are on the way. Thanks for joining us at 11. I'm Elle Thomas. Now, President Trump granted Washington's emergency declaration today, and it authorizes FEMA funding to give immediate help, at least for the short term.
Helps us navigate the emergency work that's going on right now. Rescuing individuals, for example, clearing debris from highways. A separate conversation will come when we go back to the federal government, obviously, for assistance in the undoubtedly very significant financial resources we will need as we dig out from this major event.
Now, exactly when that next larger funding conversation will happen is still up in the air, mainly because we simply do not know how much this is going to cost. As for this round of approval, though, all of the counties that you see on your screen right now have been given the green light for those emergency funds. You'll notice Cowlitz County not included. Ferguson says he's not sure why it was omitted. It's something that he's following up on. And the federal government will cover 75% of those costs, the state on the hook for the other 25%, and that is standard. Now, in the meantime, our team has been working overtime to keep you informed. All week, we've had crews spread out across western Washington, and now as the waters are receding, residents start to go home and to clean up. So first, let's get to KIRO 7's Eric Thomas live in Burlington. Eric, for one family, December has been truly a roller coaster.
It has indeed, and you can still see here in Burlington the road closed behind me, the standing water here. We talked about that mandatory evacuation, but it's really that water and that family behind me in this house here. This is the home of Mario Rincon and family, who just welcomed a newborn baby last week before the weather spoiled that welcome home party. Mario's family amongst the tens of thousands ordered to evacuate the floodplain of the Skagit River this week. But how about the added pressure of a newborn or visiting relatives? Because even though the evacuation order has since been lifted for Mario and his wife, the cleanup and rebuild has just begun.
We were renovating this room down here. It was bare when we moved in. It was just the studs, and so that was going to be our family room, and everything was down there just so that we could just, as soon as we were done, basically, set it in place. And it's going to be tough going through that.
Now, Mario does have insurance, but says there's 1.5 feet of water inside the home, and the worst may not be over. The river is still high, flash flooding remains a risk, and several surrounding highways are also closed. However, the federal government is getting involved, granting a request for an emergency declaration in the aftermath to this historic flooding.
We just moved in a year ago, and speaking to all my neighbors, everybody seemed very skeptical something could happen because water has never reached this side, and we still try to prep the best we could.
Meanwhile, we spoke with another resident who's lived here for the past 5 years. He and his wife leaving town on Wednesday just before the worst, returning home this afternoon. And while he's thankful he avoided any major damage, knows the cleanup will be a community effort.
The community has really come together. I was just talking with a neighbor, and he said that was really proud of how went down to pick up some sandbags. Everybody came together. We'll work with each other and rebuild.
Couple of minutes, we've seen maybe half a dozen cars try and pass through. As you can see, the road behind me still closed, still some standing water around Burlington. But some good news, anyone whose home or business is west of the north-south railroad tracks here in the city can return home or go back to work when it reopens. But flood warnings do remain in place across Skagit County until early Sunday morning, and that ahead of what could be another atmospheric river in the coming days. So plenty to monitor here. But live for now in Burlington, Eric Thomas, KIRO 7 News.